Hi, this is Dave Cohn with Emerald Trading Technologies here to provide you a brief demo of how to start up the Strategy AutoSycn Smart Order Limit Fill product. In order to start this up, we're going to start here with the chart. We're showing a Forex symbol in this EURUSD, but this could be a chart of any symbol, a future symbol or an equity symbol. So you start with your chart, and presumably in this chart, you will also be inserting the trading strategy that you want to use. Strategy AutoSycn Smart Order Limit Fill is really intended to be used with automated strategies. You can also combine manual orders with automated strategies, but the thinking is that you at least have one automated strategy running in the chart. So let's insert both a strategy and a companion indicator, both are required, to make Strategy AutoSycn Smart Order Limit Fill work. So first we're going to right click on an open area of the chart, come down to Insert Strategy. A window will open up showing all the possible strategies in the list. Scroll down till you find Strategy AutoSycn Smart Limit Order Fill, version 2 or whatever version, and you see the little puzzle piece beside it which indicates this is a trading app store strategy. Left click on that, click OK. I'm going to pull the window into view which appears, which is the Format Analysis Techniques and Strategy windows. We see that the strategy has been inserted on there. The status is set to on. Let's turn that status to off. Let's set the properties for all and go first to the General tab here and be sure that we've enabled Order Placement Objects by left clicking on that. Then go to the Automation tab and click on Strategy will fill non-historical orders only when Trade Manager reports them as filled, and be sure to click on Adopt the Real World Position and wait for a UR out confirmation. Then click OK. We're not quite done yet. Now we need to fully automate this strategy, so click on Strategy Orders for Display in Trade Manager's Strategy Orders tab. Click on Automate Execution, and you'll see a pop-up window appear. You need to fill out the maximum shares or contracts per position you're going to be trading. I'm assuming that we'll be trading, say, a futures contract here and no more than 5 contracts. And then click on I agree. And then lastly, click on the account confirmation. We want to turn that off. And again, you see another window pop up. Click on I agree. Then click on close. Now we're going to insert the companion indicator. We begin the same way. We right click on an open area of the chart. We insert the analysis technique. Again, opens up a window. We scroll down until we find Strategy AutoSycn Smart Limit Order Fill with the same puzzle piece. Left click on it, click OK. You will see this runtime error message appear, which is actually being issued by the analysis technique. And it says, hey, we have to enable order objects. You'll see the error up here, and then go down here to see the actual error. Enable order objects on General tab. So you can close that out, right click on an open area of the chart, select Format Analysis Techniques. We come to the indicator. We're going to turn the status on. This will allow us to format it. Go to the General tab first. Come down here and click on Enable Order Placement Objects. Then go to the Inputs tab. We'll discuss the inputs here briefly that are available so you know how to control them. First input is account ID. You can basically leave that blank. There's just 2 double quotes there with nothing in between. That will allow you to automatically fetch the account ID associated with this symbol. Now, for some reason, if that's not the right account ID, you can override it and specify it like this, SIM 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, and type it in there between the double quotes. But otherwise, if you leave the double quotes blank, it should get the account ID associated with this symbol that you'll be trading on this chart. Next input is the milliseconds timeout position mismatch. This indicator and the companion strategy detect when the strategy thinks that the position is one thing when in fact the actual position is something else. For example, the strategy may think you're long 5 contracts when in fact the position is flat. When this occurs, the system detects it, and it will then correct it. And the way it corrects it is it restarts the strategy, and the strategy will then adopt the real world position, the correct real world position when it restarts. This right here is the time in milliseconds that it waits between when it detects the strategy has the wrong position and when it causes a strategy to resync by restarting with the right position. So 5,000 stands for 5,000 milliseconds or 5 seconds. You can reduce this. I wouldn't recommend reducing it to much below 2,000. If you reduce the number to too small a value, problems can emerge. Next item here on the inputs is cancel open orders when fixing position mismatch. If a position mismatch has occurred where the strategy has the wrong position, and we're going to correct it, we're going to cause the strategy to restart. At that point, the strategy has, say, a profit target and a stop loss order out there. You can end up with orders doubled up or other issues. It's generally advisable to set this to true, which means any open strategy orders that are there are first canceled, then the strategy is restarted. You will likely see a strategy automation warning window when the strategy is restarted to resync with the position. And you need to answer the prompts in that window. Typically, you don't want to cancel orders or cancel open positions. Next two inputs are the milliseconds timeout to convert entry and exit limit orders to market orders. What this means is as soon as the limit order is touched, a timer starts. And you can specify what the elapsed time is after that limit order is touched before that order is forced to become a market order. So for example, if we put in here 2,000, this means 2,000 milliseconds or 2 seconds after an entry limit order is touched. If it has not yet filled, it will be forced to become a market order. If you set the value to 0, it disables this function. If you set the value to -1, it basically becomes a market if touched order. What happens is as soon as the limit order is touched, it'll be forced to become a market order. So that's basically the equivalent of a market if touched order. Let's set both these fields to 5,000. Well, I'll set the first field to 5,000 milliseconds or 5 seconds, and the second field to 45,000 milliseconds, which would correspond to 45 seconds. Next inputs to look at are convert entry limit to market before limit price is touched, or the same thing for an exit limit order. These are very specialized inputs, so will probably be infrequently used. What they do is they time the moment from when the limit order is first issued. And when these times expire here, that limit order is converted to a market order, even if the limit price was never touched. So this is basically an order timer, these two switches here. And if you set them to true, for example, I set this to true, what this says is that 5 seconds after that limit order is issued, it will always be converted to a market order, even if the price never got near touching the limit order. So as I said, these are specialized features or functions which are unlikely to be used. Normally those would be set to be false. Next two inputs to discuss are volume to convert the entry and exit limit order to a market order. This is the volume that has transpired since the limit price was touched. So you can specify that, okay, after 1,000 contracts is traded after the limit price is touched, I want that limit order to be converted to a market order. So I'll set 1,000 for the entry and 500 for the exit. Next two items are the ticks pullback to convert an entry and exit limit order to a market order. This is particularly useful if you have scenarios where the limit price is just touched and then the price then rapidly begins to pull away. So for example, if you specified 3 ticks here and 2 ticks here, and you are using this to deal with stocks or equities where the typical minimum price movement is a penny, each tick stands for 1 penny. This says if the price pulls 3 cents away from the limit price, this would force that limit order to fill. Likewise, for an exit order, if the price pulled away 2 cents from the limit price, it would force that limit order to a market order to fill. Now note, when you have a limit order forced to become a market order to fill, you may not get the limit price or even close to the limit price. But what you are assuring is that the order fills. Next two inputs to look at are the long bid-ask ratio and the short ask-bid ratio to convert limit orders to market orders. And the long bid-ask ratio applies when you have a long position, and the short one applies when you have a short position or sell. So this is long or a long entry. This is a short or a long exit or a short entry. This is really the ratio of the bid size to the ask size. So if the bid size to the ask size was 50% and you put in 0.5 and it got above that, got above 0.5 or 50%, that would trigger the limit order to be forced to a market order. Likewise, for the short side or the sell side, if the ask to bid ratio exceeds the value you put in here, and let's call it 1 here, then that would force the limit order to be converted to a market order. Again, if these are left as 0, it disables this. If numbers are specified that are non-zero, it enables it. What I like to point out is there's 4 different functions for forcing a limit order to convert to a market order. There's a timeout from which it's first touched. There's volume that's transpired since the limit order is touched. There's ticks pullback since the limit order is touched. And there's the bid-ask size ratio or the ask-bid size ratio. All 4 of these can work together. They can all be enabled, and whichever one is triggered first will force the limit order to convert to a market order. Or if none are triggered, then the limit order will never be converted to a market order. Next item or input here is block strategy orders when position mismatch. So if the strategy has the wrong position, say the strategy thinks the position is long 5 contracts, but in fact the real world position is flat, the strategy may be issuing orders thinking that it's long 5 contracts, and you may not want that. So by setting this to be true, when the system detects that the strategy has the wrong position, that it does not agree with the real world position, this will block the strategy from issuing orders. And the next input applies for when you're mixing manual orders with strategy orders. And this is often done to add a discretionary component to automated trading. So say the strategy is long 5 contracts and has issued profit target and stop loss orders, but you really want the exit to occur at a different price, maybe at a price closer in. So you issue a manual order for the exit. The strategy has no knowledge of that manual order being issued. It's completely blind to any orders issued outside the strategy and completely blind to if those manual orders fill. So if you've issued a manual order that's waiting to fill, you may want to block the strategy from issuing other orders because it doesn't see that order and it can be issuing other orders that creates conflict. So you can specify true for that. Lastly is the alert sound file. This is a sound that's made like when the strategy is restarting due to position mismatch or other events. And these files, I believe, are found either in the program or the My Work folder in TradeStation. And there's a variety of them there, and I just chose the ahuga.wave file. And of course, you can create your own sound files. So that is the inputs and the possible settings. Once you get done, you simply click OK. And we get an error here that we cannot use volume for Forex symbols. It's smart. So you come back in here. We turn the status back on. We go to Format the window. And we turn the volume off for Forex because for Forex you cannot see volume like you can for futures and equities. Click OK. And what you'll notice is that a disclaimer comes up with an I agree and I do not agree button. And it's strongly recommended that you read this disclaimer carefully. And if you want to continue, you click I agree. And at that point, you would close this window here. Now, we have turned on the indicator, but we're not done yet. For this to fully work, we need to go back, right-click on Open Area Chart, click on Format Strategies, and turn that on as well. Click. And you hear the ahuga sound, may have just gone off, indicating everything's turned on. So you need to have both the strategy and the companion indicator turned on for strategy AutoSycn Smart Order Limit Fill to work. When both are turned on and you see the green block with the red SA in the top, then you know things are ready for strategy AutoSycn Smart Order Limit Fill to work. And this concludes our demonstration.